Hey, this is Pradeep with Sensatura, and today I'm sharing my thoughts on the newest launch from the brand of Marc Antoine Barrois. This is called Aldebaran from their sub collection based on stars. This happens to be a 2025 release composed by their usual collaborator, perfumer Quentin Bisch. So I picked up a replacement bottle of Hinoki from Comme des Garçons from Nose Paris, saw that they had samples of this new release, decided to get it so I can test it out. Now, when it comes to the brand itself, I have mixed thoughts. They started off small with just one fragrance, B683, and a unique signature, which I thought was intriguing. Since then, we had Ganymede, a popular release which has had a huge impact on the luxury perfume industry itself. Quentin Bisch has continued to do different versions of that signature for other brands that he has been associated with, or he has been asked to, would be the more appropriate way to put it. As a result, the signature of this brand is not as unique anymore. You could find a similar fragrance from Amouage, Parfums de Marly, Maison Crivelli, Fendi and so forth. And it's not only Biche now, it's become the signature of Givaudan itself, wherein other perfumers from this flavoring house have also started incorporating similar style of materials in their creations. In any case, I won't go on further about the brand right now. I have a sample set and hope to do an overview in the coming weeks. What is important to the topic in hand is that seemingly Marc Antoine Barrois tried to break from this vicious circle to a small extent with the release of Tilia from last year. It was the inaugural creation from the sub-collection, centered on linden blossom. It was relatively softer compared to the proudly synthetic compositions they did till that point, which I thought was a welcome change. The fragrance itself was better than I expected. If we can also generalize a bit, one could say they tried to go for a feminine leaning scent, but it seems like a lot of men who would never wear floral fragrances enjoyed it just as much because of the brand being as trendy as it is at the moment. So what does the brand say about this creation? Quote, Aldebaran takes its name from the brightest star discovered by an 18th century Arab astronomer. Its name from the Arabic evokes the outstretched hand of one who helps and shows the way. This olfactory experience is a journey through the looking glass from darkness to light, like a luminous star in the night. This new fragrance is a soliflor of tuberose that embodies hope and optimism. Unquote. Now, coming to the smell itself, when I first sprayed this, my immediate thought was in contradiction to that final statement, in that it does not feel like a conventional soliflor of tuberose to me. It opens quite green, camphoriferous, spicy and vegetal. They do not list any herbs, but I would be surprised if it does not have any. It comes across like a mix of mint, bay leaf, maybe some clary sage, and the mate tea accord with this garden-like freshness. Almost reminds me of Sicily fragrances. The tuberose seems to be this dry, candle wax, sort of fleshy tuberose. I even get some hints of aldehydes in the opening. Even those who may not like a full-on tuberose can test it, I think, because it has a lot of other elements going on. It's like smelling a florist and a herbal shop next to each other. It actually surprised me. I was not expecting this sort of a scent profile, which again clearly seems to break away from their past work. I have seen a lot of negative reactions about it online. Obviously, it has three things that are generally considered unappealing in today's climate: green, medicinal, and vegetal. On top of that, people who expected a clean, straightforward tuberose also seem to be disappointed. It feels a bit more natural, not as alien or exoplanet smelling as others from the lineup, but it's still a Quentin Bisch creation with his palette of materials, so it still has that futuristic character to it. Apparently, Aldebaran is a red-orange giant, some 30 times bigger than the sun. So it seems like they have tried to use paprika to give that kind of redness, but frankly, I do not get much of it. Yes, it is spicy, but to me it feels more like this herbal, cool, green aromatic spiciness rather than warm spices. Speaking of stars, it seems to be quite the coincidence coming after Tuberose Astral from Maison Crivelli, which surprisingly has a similar brief, red bottles and such. Of course, they both have tuberose, but thankfully they do not smell anything alike to me. Tuberose Astral felt like a template Quentin Bisch creation with this sort of peachy, alien, mineral milk accord. This for me is more interesting because of how avant-garde it is. The later dry down though is not as interesting, unfortunately. It turns to this weird, doughy, creamy, rubbery vanilla tonka mush with these lactonic, milky, coconut-like touches. I was thinking of Zuzu from Celine, which does something similar, but then I saw it being compared to Blanche Bête from Liquide Imaginaire, this one, which made even more sense. They definitely seem to have some similarities, especially considering the fact that it was made by Louis Turner, also from Givaudan. So they probably share some similar materials, I think. There may be some other florals here, like jasmine, broom, or orange blossom, bringing in a touch of honeyed sweetness complementing the tuberose, which is probably why there seems to be some more similarities with the previous release, Tilia. Creamy, lactonic tuberose has been done before, but here it is so peculiar that I have to comment the thought process behind it. So this green herbal tuberose with the backing of this creamy, lactonic tonka bean and vanilla is what makes for the overall wearing experience. I have only worn it a couple of times, but performance seems to be nuclear as you would expect from this house. Some have called it as challenging. It is certainly unusual, but I don't find it to be endolic or off-putting, nothing like a narcotic tuberose composition. It can be worn year-round, essentially, I think. Unisex leaning feminine in the traditional sense. Overall, it's quite an intriguing smell. I don't think it is necessarily something I would reach for as a fragrance. I only like a handful of tuberose creations myself, Nuit de Bakelite, Carnal Flower, Tuberose Criminal and such, so it's not necessarily a favorite note of mine. Maybe a candle of this would do. It's certainly more interesting than many of the monotonous creations that Quentin Bisch has been producing with other houses, and I tend to like my obscure smells like this now and then. I think Barrois and Bisch, or B&B, have some real synergy. Bisch seems to go an extra mile because of the creative direction from him. Like I said, though it's not something I would gravitate toward personally, and yes, the later dry down is also disappointing. The engineer in me can't help but appreciate the creativity. It's a very modern brand that is totally in right now with all the online influencers and such. So I'm curious to see how this will stack up against their other popular releases with the wider audience. Either way, that's been my impression of Aldebaran from Marc Antoine Barrois. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care and ciao.